This shoe is available only in Japan. And stay. You will not be able to purchase it. But if you watch the whole video, if you comment, if more people get interested into this shoe, which is really good, ASICS may consider releasing it more globally. So please stay, watch the whole review. Hey everyone, and welcome back on the channel. My name is Alex. In today's video, we are reviewing a one-of-a-kind shoe. This is the ASICS S4. You may never have heard about it, and that's totally normal because it's not sold in your local store, in your online retail shop. This is a shoe that's only in Japan, so yes, if you're watching from Japan, you may be familiar with it, but for the rest of us, this is a bit of a different shoe. Why is it only sold in Japan? That's a huge question, and I have no answer, no official answer, at least from ASICS. But yeah, that's how it is, and I got this shoe around the Tokyo Marathon 2024, and let's review it. I think it's super interesting to have something like this, and like I said in the intro, it's a good shoe, so you know, if more people get their attention into this product, maybe it's gonna become more widely available. This shoe was paid with my own money, and therefore the review is honest and transparent, as always. Looking into the specs of this shoe, you have 34 millimeters of stack height in the heel, 6 millimeters drop, 28 millimeters in the forefoot, 260 grams in my size US 11, EU 45, and yeah, it's you know, let's categorize this shoe as a up-tempo / racing shoe. We'll come back to why actually S4, and 260 grams is an okay weight for that category. What category is it? It's a good question. It's not really a racing shoe unless you are really targeting that Sub4 marathon. If you are a bit faster, then you know, for people running sub 3 hours, this shoe becomes more of an up-tempo shoe. And in that up-tempo category, 260 grams is actually quite competitive. If you're looking at a racing shoe, a marathon racing shoe, there are options on the market lighter than 260 grams. Now, let's look into the upper of this shoe, and the upper is super pliable, super thinny. It has a bit of that plasticky feel and actually sound to it. It's very, very similar to the upper of the Superblast and to the upper of the Metaspeed Plus series, not the new Paris series, really the Plus series. I really like that upper. I have enjoyed it in pretty much every shoe I have tried it on, and it's a great upper. It's a very nice material. You have the comfort, the lockdown, the fit, which is on the narrow side of things, but it's a good fit with that very pliable and very tolerant upper. And it's an upper that I would like to see on many more shoes in the ASICS range in the future. It has changed a bit on the Metaspeed Paris series for something a bit lighter, a bit more breathable. That is also quite good. But this one, they can keep it. I'm always going to be a fan of it. The laces are the same as on the racing shoes, the Metaspeed. Very good laces. The tongue is super thin, a bit flimsy. It could benefit from a touch more padding around that central area where the lacing pressure creates, but it's okay. The fit, like I said, is on the narrow side of things. It's a true to size fit with a good lockdown, and I didn't do any runner's knot because the lockdown was good enough on itself like this. So the upper and the fit are good in my opinion. The magic sauce really comes from the midsole. You have some Fly Foam Turbo midsole foam compound, at least a carbon plate, full-length carbon plate in this shoe. How is the ride of this shoe, and is it actually good for a sub-4 marathon runner? It's a very snappy ride. It's a ride I really enjoy. I'm more leaning towards a bit of a firmer ride sometimes. I like to have a bit of ground feel, and something that is super snappy, super responsive, but not necessarily, you know, super plush. I'm not a big fan of plushness. I prefer a soft foam when it's, you know, super bouncy, explosive, or a slightly firmer foam like you have here in the heel, with that feeling of the dampening and the snappiness that this shoe provides. So I really like this type of combination. I'm not sure if the two different colors are two different foams. I would assume so, based on the feeling I have in the heel and in the forefoot. The red one is definitely Fly Foam Turbo, it's written on it. The other one I suspect is more of a Fly Foam Blast Plus, maybe. And yeah, that if it's two different layers, two different compounds, they work together really well. If it's the same compound, cooked a bit differently to have two different densities, they also do work together quite well. The heel, like I said, is on the, you know, on the firmer side of things, but it's offering some cushion, offering some very snappy transition towards the forefoot, and therefore it makes it a good shoe for race day where you want to just have quick feet and get a good turnover in the legs. This shoe will provide it to you. In the forefoot you have Thanks to that Flight Foam Turbo foam, the same as on the Metaspeed Plus series, you have some good energy release in the forefoot, and you definitely can feel that with that foam and that also quite high toe spring, you are pushed forward, and that's a very good thing. Now, is it a good shoe for sub-4 marathon runners? I don't know, because even though I can try to run at that pace, I don't know how it will feel for runners in the sub-4 range. I think the fit and the width of the platform, which is on the narrow side of things, will make it challenging for people, even in the 4-hour range, to have a good marathon shoe out of this. And that's also coming back to the specificities of the different markets. People in Japan are a bit smaller and a bit lighter, and they may be better off with a shoe like this one than with a wider, thicker shoe like the Hoka Cielo X1, the Alpha Fly, or even the Adios Pro to a certain extent, Adios Pro 3. So that's where maybe if you are a sub-4 marathon runner looking at your first marathon shoe for a first sub-4 attempt in Europe, you are a bit taller than the average height in Japan and a bit heavier than the average Japanese weight. This shoe may not be for you. This shoe also has a bit of excessive pronation in the heel, not because of the firmness of the foam compound, but just because of the width of that heel area. You don't have a ton of platform to land on, and therefore, if you land a bit too much on the medial side, this shoe doesn't forgive, and the forgiveness in this shoe is not super high. So I personally really like it. I would use it, and I used it for faster reps on the track, for some tempo sessions, and just for some also endurance cruising type of runs. But I don't think it's a good sub-4 marathon shoe for runners in the US, in Europe, and in other parts of the world other than Japan. It's, however, I think a better option than the ASICS Magic Speed 3, which is the tempo shoe sold in Europe and in the US. It's very similar in terms of weight, in terms of specs as well. The Magic Speed 3 has the Flight Foam Blast Plus midsole in the forefoot. This one is Flight Foam Turbo, and I would pick this shoe instead of the Magic Speed 3. So if you are considering the Magic Speed 3 and you can get this shoe because you're traveling to Japan, get this one because it's a better option. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I would like to see this shoe in Europe and in the US because I think it would be a good replacement for the Magic Speed 3. It could also be maybe the Magic Speed 4, looking a bit more like this. But it's an interesting choice to sell a shoe only in Japan. The price point was around $150, so also quite competitive price point converted from yen, and a shoe that I will keep in my rotation because it's actually fun and I enjoy running in it. I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope you learned something. Let's link to the review of the Magic Speed 3. I think it's a good segue. Enjoy your run today, enjoy your ride, and go beyond your limits. Thank you, and see you in the next one.